Welcome to Doctor's Story. Today we have with us someone who is an amazing person and she has some really amazing stories to share with us, Neerja Malik. She has been through a lot, including cancer and cancer therapy, but she's been through it and she's done it really well because she is very resilient. And we're going to learn this from her today. She's handled everything that has come her way so well, and that makes her such an inspiring person. So with that, I'd like to welcome you to our little meet.
Thank you so much, Anne. I've been looking forward to this ever since we had a rather long chat. Somehow we got along like a house on fire. And I'm sure that this interview is going to light up many minds.
Thank you. Let's hope so. Last week, I was speaking to a doctor and asking her about the risk factors of cancer, especially breast cancer. And she said that the number one risk factor for breast cancer is being a woman. And this is
Oh,
true. It is. But at the same time, women have so many roles that we have to fill. We're moms, we're daughters, we're wives,
yes.
we're friends. How do we
So
hold up all of these roles, fill up these shoes when we go through cancer?
the first thing I'll tell you is that, yes, woman, Shakti, Stree Shakti, power, energy, everything. You know, when my twins were born, so I was rushed from a nursing home to Breach Candy Hospital, where, uh, because of my high blood pressure, they had to not put me through GA. They gave me that, the name of that injection I've forgotten, into the spine. And, that anesthetizes you waist down. And they did a cesarean and they yanked the twins out. They put them into individual incubators after I'd looked at them and hugged them, kissed them. And out of the two incubators, one stopped working. So both were so tiny, they were put into. I could hold one in each palm, they were that tiny. And they were rushed to another hospital because in those days, Breach Candy didn't have a neonatal clinic. So they were rushed to Just Low. And I followed 5 days later. You know what every pediatrician told me? They said, you are very lucky that the weaker of your twins is a girl. Because the girl has the survival instinct, the fighting, facing capacity, capability to overcome. She has it all, a boy doesn't. So maybe that is why God has given us all these things to multitask with, to play these roles, because He feels that, yes, they are capable, they have been made with more Shakti, more strength. So just give it to them. Yeah. So though they might say we are the weaker sex, I promised you, we are the stronger one. And of course, all of us have a source of power, strength, and energy deep within us. But I guess women, more so than men. That is why we can take on. We are resilient. We can put up with much more. We are more open. See, you talk about a woman, her life is a circle. In this circle is her work, her love, her feelings of friends, her family, her husband, all that she does. What about a man? He has different compartments. One compartment will be work, one will be office, one will be golf, one will be wife, one will be kids, one will be this payment, one will be my car. You understand? They have drawers, they have compartments. That is why they say men are from Mars and women are from Venus, because there is a distinct difference. So once again, remember what we spoke about earlier, no comparisons. But the fact of the matter is that yes, women can take on much more. On the other hand, the drawback here is that if something is wrong with my husband, my kids, my neighbor, my in laws, I will do everything in my power to rush them to the hospital. Something's wrong with me. What will I do? I'll put it on the back burner. I don't have the time. Uh, Maybe next week. It'll get okay on its own. Forget about it. I'm of no consequence. This is where we need to make a change. And that is why I need to tell you, Anne, that last month was the month of October, and it was the month known worldwide to spread the awareness about breast cancer. And all the talks I did, and I did lots, and I had a campaign too, and I involved the men because I said, A, even men can get breast cancer, and B, men also have mothers, grandmothers, aunts, sisters, girlfriends, wives, and daughters. So if you spread the awareness to them, they can pass it on, they can understand. They can understand what is required. Men go for an annual checkup. All your MNCs, your multinationals, they send the men with annually, all your armed forces, everything. Just like that. Women, working or otherwise. And let me tell you, they do more work at home as housewives, looking after the family. It should be a set routine. There's so many people I tell, okay, month of March or April or October, take your pick. They said, for what? I said, well, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And March is, 8th of March is Women's International Day. So fix that time. If you're above 35 or 45, fix that time, that month to get your mammogram done once a year, or if once in 2 years, fix it. And you know what? The best thing to do is you want to give someone something, give them a mammogram. Imagine gifting a mammogram to your near and dear. Doesn't that make life simple? It ensures that you are concerned about their health and welfare, and it ensures that they go and do it.
So, once you had your diagnosis of breast cancer, did it come to a point where you had to choose about a mastectomy?
Hmm?
About
Yes.
mastectomy, yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'd love to tell you that. So in Chennai, I told you that I went and got all my tests done, and it was decided that a mastectomy would be done. And then my mother said, sorry, no surgery, no treatment in Chennai. You will have to come. It will be a good idea if you come to Bombay. Because in Bombay, your support system is there. In Chennai, I just had my husband and my 7-year-old twins. My mother, father, sister in laws, brothers in laws, their wives, everyone was in Bombay. So she said, you come to Bombay. Instead of all of us coming to Chennai, one person comes to Bombay. We'll send an elderly woman to look after your babies. And you can come, have a surgery, go back, have your chemos, go back. And that is what I was doing. So, what was your question? I kind of lost track.
My question was about whether you had to choose to do a mastectomy.
Yes,
And
thank you. I got it.
okay,
I
sure.
got it. So I agreed because it made sense. And I came to Bombay. And I went straight to a hospital where my surgeon met me with an inch tape. And I said, oh my God, what is this? And then he measured whatever he had to. And he sat me down and he said, so I'm going to do a lumpectomy. And I said, what's that? And he said, well, I will remove the lump. And you know what I did, Anne? I went down on my knees and I begged him. This is the truth. I begged him. I said, please do me a mastectomy. So he said, what? I said, please do me a mastectomy. He said, why do you want a mastectomy? I said, because maybe it'll come up again in the same breast. So do me a mastectomy. And he explained it to me so brilliantly, Dr. Vijay Haribhakti. He said, listen, this is the breast. Now, if it is towards the outer area where the nipple is, towards the outer part of the breast, then the lump finds a nice margin. So this is the tumor. You need to cut a margin around it and remove that and throw, or rather send it to the path lab. And I said, no, but I want a mastectomy. He said, why? I said, because I don't want it to come up again in the same breast. And he said, there is no research that shows that it comes up in the same breast again. And it all depends on the location of your tumor. Now, supposing your tumor was nearer the chest, or supposing there was not enough margin, then without you saying anything, I would do a mastectomy. It took me a while to understand this. And I think it made a lot of sense because when you do a lumpectomy, the healing is quicker, the wound is lesser, the stitches are lesser, and then it depends on you as to whether you want to conserve your breast or get a silicone attachment or whatever you want to do. The choices are immense. So he managed to convince me that I did not need a mastectomy. And I'm glad. And I'm glad he made me see. I'm very happy that along my journey, there's so many truths that have come up in front of me. So there are many times when I have been able to explain these to a patient, and then I would tell the patient that, listen, the first point is that your doctor will not give you a choice. He will not say, would you like to have a mastectomy or a lumpectomy? He will say that only if the margin is large enough. Otherwise, without asking for your opinion, he would just go ahead with the mastectomy. So that is a very important point. And how I tell my patients is that, see, the breast is the easiest cancer to have. And you take an apple, and there's a bit of, a bit that's spoiled. You take a knife and you just scoop out that spoiled area, chuck it, and the rest of the apple is good to go. It's like your breast. You scoop out the lump and, do away with it. And you're good to go. And then I tell them, I said, your surgery is the cure, you're cured. And then the patient said, but then why do I have to have a chemo? And why do I have to have 6 chemos or 8 chemos? And why do I have to have 30 to 38 radios? Now, of course, with different radio therapy methods, you may have, just 5 sessions and of a stronger dose, and with the cyber knife and stuff. There are lots of choices that I was telling you. Sure, you can shop for your radiation now. So then I tell them, I said, see, if you buy a gift for someone, do you just take the gift and say, hey, I got you this glass? And no. What do?
We gift wrap it.
You wrap it, you gift wrap it, you put it in a box, a pretty box, and gift wrap it. And then you don't leave it at that. You may put a ribbon. So I say, your surgery is the cure. Your gift wrapping is the chemotherapy. And your ribbon is the radiation. So isn't that a lovely, simplified way of explaining things?
Yes, it's genius. It's really good. But this is sometimes very difficult to take because it's like losing a part of you. How would you say we should approach this?
There was this lady from Oman, and she came to India for her surgery, and her son came to me, and he said, please come and counsel her. So he called me the night before her surgery, and I went to her, and she was very upset. So she had the loosies. So she just told me, she said, listen, my surgery is at 7. Can you come and meet me at 6? I said, yes. So when I went at 6 in the morning, she told me something very strange. She said, I feel like a shaitan. Shaitan is devil. So I said, what? She said, because the mastectomy is going to take place and a part of my body is being cut, I will be devil. I will be shaitan. People will think of me like that. And then I told her, I said, see, God has made all of us. And if you believe in Allah, she was a Muslim. I said, if you believe in Allah, then you know that He loves us and He's there for us. He stands by us. And He will not do anything to wrong us. And if He is the one who chose to give us this cancer and to get the breast removed, then perhaps there is some good in it. So I try to show the other end. Now, we were talking between her room and the operating theater. Because of the work I was doing, I was like, kind of, I was perhaps the only one allowed in. Because, see, whatever I did, I would keep the patient occupied, and the patient would go with a different kind of an openness for the surgery, which, by the way, helped the doctors a lot. So when they said, they figured out that, okay, if she's going to be there and it's going to help us, why not? So now we were standing in the OT is huge. It's called the operating theater, but beyond a certain point, only the patient and the doctors are allowed in because it's properly sanitized. And the other side, you have a corridor with the nurses, and on one side, you have the two recuperating rooms. I was allowed in that space. While the patient is on the stretcher from the room and before going into the actual OT, when only the doctors are allowed and his assistants. So while we were there, I turned to her. Her hands, she was lying down and standing above her. She was on the stretcher, and her hands were moving like trapped birds. And I turned to her and I said, "Shut your eyes. Let us pray." She said, "What?" I said, "Yes." So, hands trembling furiously, she shut her eyes. And I said, "La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah." And I kept chanting that for at least 10 minutes or so, by which time her hands had stopped trembling like trapped birds, and there was a beautiful smile on her face. I stopped talking. She opened her eyes and she looked at me and she said, "You are Muslim." And I said, "Yes." Because to me, it makes no difference as to whether I'm a Muslim or a Hindu or a Parsi or a Christian or a Catholic or anything or a Jew. It makes no difference. But for her, by saying, just chanting, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, for her, she felt that Allah had sent a messenger. And that messenger was I. And she went inside at peace, willing to be open to the surgery. You understand that? And she was a problematic case actually because she also had a pacemaker. So they had to do some, I don't understand the medical thinking behind it, but they had to put a magnet there to keep the pacemaker going, blah, blah. They had to remove her breast. It was a mastectomy. So along my life's journey, all these various instances have happened, which are my treasures to share with everybody. And this is what we did. I spoke to her about the fact that she doesn't need to be ashamed, and about the other people. Nowadays, you have bras into which you can fit silicone artificial breasts. You can, if you're not comfortable with that, you find it heavy, you can use cloth ones, or you can have foam ones, or you can actually, have breast reconstruction. So once again, we are at a space and time where the options are plenty, and it's a good space to be in. So I hope that answers your question because I explain everything to them. And yes, on the one hand, women feel that they will be shunned. And in the poorer classes, the lower economic backgrounds, they are men who have left their wives because of breast cancer. But thankfully, those cases are few and far between. And the more awareness we spread, which is happening right down to the grassroots, into the villages, beyond the urban, into the rural areas. I guess we're getting there slowly and steadily. We are getting there. And the other thing, of course, Anne, is about hair. And I tell people, I said, hair today, gone tomorrow, back day after. And I remember when my hair started falling, I went to the balcony. I did that. I would pull it out and blow it. You remember those flowers? he loves me, he loves me not, he loves me. And as I blew my hair out into the breeze, I watched it and I felt that my troubles were also going away. So, perception, imagination, visualization, all these become very helpful. Yes.
Thankfully, in our culture, to shave the head is acceptable,
Oh,
isn't it?
thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for reminding me because, especially in the south, you have Balaji's temple in Tirupati. And there are a lot of women walking around with, bald hair, shaved hair, and short crop of hair. And I was not aware of why. Okay. So one South Indian lady came up to me and she said, Tirupati, ah. And I said, suddenly enlightenment, Ama, Tirupati da. And thereafter, I told all my patients, I said, you're so lucky to be getting a treatment in the South because everyone looking at you says Tirupati, and you can say yes. You don't have to tell everyone that, hey, I had cancer, this is hair. And I told Balaji, I said, I'm going to Tirupati and whatever little hair I've grown back, I'm going to shave it. In fact, my kids used to dread my going to Tirupati because they never knew whether I'd come back with or without hair for many years. That's what I did. On the 12th of November, I walked up to Tirupati in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Stayed the night over and I shaved my.
So,
Yes.
ma'am, speaking to you has been so delightful. So, I know that some people who are listening may have had the diagnosis just told to them. So,
Mhm.
if they want to get in touch with you, is there a way that they can do it?
Of course, I I will send you my they call it social media handles. My see, even if they go to YouTube, they'll see a lot of 60 odd videos there. But I've started my own YouTube channel. They're most welcome to get in touch with me. I have 2 Facebook pages, 2 Instagrams, 2 LinkedIns, everything. I'm a Gemini, so everything is in. I think I even have twins. The only thing I don't have is 2 husbands. But one husband is bad enough, so I think I'll just retain that. Listen, and I must tell you the things I tell my patients. One, think of cancer as only a word. Two, think of your treatment as a short detour. You will get back to where you had to go. Don't think of it as the be all and end all of existence. And three, laughter is the best medicine. And my best mantras, I love these: God is great, and this too shall.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing this interview, for spending
God,
so much time with us. Yeah,
God,
it's been such a pleasure to speak to you today.
thank you, Anne, and thank you to all the listeners who are listening in. And God bless everyone, and the divinity in me bows down to the divinity in all.